The distress beacon was faint, almost dead, barely registering on Captain Marcus Webb's sensor array as his cargo ship transited between systems. He almost missed it. Another hour and he would have been out of detection range entirely. Marcus adjusted course, following the signal to its source. A badly damaged escape pod drifting in deep space, life support failing, emergency systems barely functional. He maneuvered his ship alongside and initiated rescue protocols. The pod was Velrani design, old model, the kind of thing that should have been retired years ago. Getting it into his cargo bay required careful work with magnetic grapples. The pod's hull was so damaged that too much force would tear it apart. Once secured, Marcus cycled the bay atmosphere and opened the pod. Inside was a Velrani woman, unconscious, severely injured. She had burns, impact trauma, signs of extended time in the failing life support. Marcus immediately moved her to his ship's medical bay. He'd been a medic before becoming a cargo hauler, so he had better medical equipment than most independent ships. Over the next 6 hours, he stabilized her injuries. Burns treated, broken ribs stabilized, dehydration addressed. She'd survive, but recovery would take weeks. When she finally woke 3 days later, her eyes opened with immediate panic. She tried to sit up, gasped in pain, looked around the unfamiliar medical bay with terror. "Easy," Marcus said gently from where he'd been monitoring her vitals. "You're safe. I'm Marcus Webb. I found your escape pod drifting in deep space and brought you aboard my ship. You were badly injured. I've been treating you." She stared at him, clearly trying to process this. "Who, where?" "You're on an independent cargo vessel. We're about 3 days from where I found you, heading toward the inner systems. Can you tell me your name?" She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "Kira, my name is Kira." "Okay, Kira, do you remember what happened? How you ended up in that escape pod?" Her expression shifted to confusion mixed with fear. Explosions, fire, people screaming. Someone pushed me into the pod and launched it. Then nothing until I woke here." "Do you remember what ship you were on, where you were going?" She shook her head, and Marcus could see genuine confusion rather than evasion. I don't remember, just the explosions, the terror. Then drifting, alone, waiting." Her voice broke. Marcus didn't press. He could see she was traumatized, that pushing for information she clearly didn't have would only cause more distress. "It's okay, you're safe now. Let's focus on getting you healed. The memories might come back as you recover." Over the following weeks, Kira healed physically but struggled psychologically. She had nightmares, waking screaming from dreams of explosions and death. She had fragments of memory that didn't form a coherent picture, images of faces she couldn't name, places she couldn't identify, a pervasive sense of loss without understanding what she'd lost. Marcus gave her space to heal at her own pace. He didn't demand explanations or push for information. He just provided medical care, quiet company when she wanted it, and solitude when she needed that instead. Slowly, carefully, they developed trust. Kira trusted that Marcus wouldn't pressure her for answers she didn't have. Marcus trusted that despite knowing nothing about her background, she wasn't a threat to him or his ship. "Why are you helping me?" Kira asked one evening as they shared a meal in the ship's small galley. "You don't know who I am. I could be dangerous. I could be a criminal running from something." "Could be," Marcus acknowledged. "But you were dying in a damaged escape pod. Helping you was the right thing to do. Whatever your past is, it doesn't change the fact that you needed help when I found you." Most people would want to know more before committing weeks to caring for a stranger. Most people probably would, but I've been that stranger before, needing help, not having anywhere to go. Someone helped me then. I'm paying that forward. Kira absorbed this. "Thank you for not pressing me about things I can't remember, for just helping." "You're welcome. And for what it's worth, I think the memories will come back when you're ready to face them. Trauma does strange things to memory. Your mind is protecting you from something too painful to process right now. That's okay. Take your time." As weeks passed and Marcus's cargo route continued, Kira slowly regained physical strength. The psychological wounds took longer. She had nightmares regularly, fragments of memory that revealed pieces without forming a complete picture. She remembered explosions tearing through a ship's hull, remembered people dying, guards in armor, officials in formal clothing, everyone trying to protect something or someone. Remembered being shoved into an escape pod by someone whose face she couldn't recall, the pod launching into space as the ship tore apart behind her. Then nothing. Drifting in the damaged pod, life support slowly failing, not knowing if anyone would find her or if she'd die alone in the dark. Marcus helped her cope without being invasive. He taught her basic ship operations to give her something to focus on, included her in meal preparation and routine maintenance, treated her like a crew member rather than like a victim or a mystery to be solved. "You don't have to do this," Kira told him during one of their conversations. "Take care of me, teach me things. You saved my life. You don't owe me anything beyond that. I'm not doing it because I owe you. I'm doing it because you're a person recovering from trauma and you need things to occupy your mind beyond replaying nightmares. Also, having help with ship operations is useful. You're good at this. I don't know why I'm good at it. It feels familiar, but I don't remember learning it. Muscle memory, maybe. Your conscious mind doesn't remember, but your body does. That's actually a good sign. Means the memories are there, just temporarily inaccessible." Eventually, Marcus's route brought him toward the Velrani homeworld. He had a cargo delivery there, standard freight hauling that was the bread and butter of independent operators like himself. When Kira learned they were heading to Velrani space, something shifted in her expression. Recognition, familiarity, something stirring that she couldn't quite articulate. "Does this mean something to you?" Marcus asked gently. "Velrani space." "I think so. It feels familiar, important, but I don't know why." "Would you want to be dropped at the homeworld? Maybe someone there would recognize you, help you figure out who you are and how to find your family." Kira was quiet for a long time. "I'm afraid. What if I find out something I don't want to know? What if my family is? What if they died in whatever attack destroyed that ship?" "That's possible, but not knowing is its own kind of torture. If there's a chance to find answers, maybe it's worth facing that fear. Would you stay with me? At least until I know something. I trust you. I don't know if I'll trust whoever I find there." "Of course, I'll stay as long as you need." When they arrived at the Velrani homeworld, Marcus went through proper channels, contacted Port Authority, explained he'd rescued a Velrani citizen who had no identification and couldn't remember her identity, requested assistance in identifying her and helping her find family. The initial response was bureaucratic routine. Fill out forms, provide description, wait for processing. Then everything changed. Someone in the processing office noticed details in Kira's description. Suddenly Marcus was being contacted by much higher authorities, told to stand by for immediate escort to the royal palace, that this was being treated as highest priority. "What's happening?" Kira asked, seeing Marcus's confusion. "I don't know, but apparently your identity is important enough that we're being taken directly to the palace with urgent priority. I have no idea why." They were escorted by royal guards, not threatening but very serious, very official. Kira was terrified. Marcus was simply confused. He'd expected maybe a database search, some local authorities who might recognize her, not royal escorts and palace summons. They were brought to a private chamber in the palace, not the formal throne room but a smaller, more intimate space. A woman entered, clearly someone of high rank based on how the guards deferred to her. She looked at Kira and went absolutely still. Her face went through shock, disbelief, then something like desperate hope. "It can't be." Her voice broke. "Kira." Kira stared at the woman, something clicking in her mind, memories suddenly rushing back in an overwhelming flood. "Mother." Queen Lyra crossed the space between them in seconds, pulling her daughter into a desperate embrace. Both of them were crying. The queen, with 3 years of grief, suddenly reversed, Kira with the shock of remembering everything all at once. Marcus stood to the side, suddenly understanding why their arrival had caused such urgent response. He'd rescued a princess, the queen's daughter, someone who'd been presumed dead for years. When the immediate emotional storm passed, though neither woman let go of the other, Queen Lyra turned to Marcus with an intensity that was almost overwhelming. "You saved my daughter. You brought her back to me. I don't have words for what that means. How can I possibly repay such a debt?" Marcus was deeply uncomfortable with the gratitude, with the weight of what he'd apparently done without knowing. "Your Majesty, I didn't know who she was. I just found someone who needed help and helped them." The queen looked confused. "You didn't recognize her, didn't realize you'd rescued the lost princess." "She had no identification," Marcus explained. "The escape pod was badly damaged, all systems fried. She couldn't remember anything beyond her name. I didn't do extensive research into her identity. I just provided medical care and helped her recover. When my route brought me toward Velrani space, I asked if she wanted to be dropped here to see if anyone would recognize her. I had absolutely no idea she was your daughter." Queen Lyra processed this, looking between Marcus and Kira. "You saved my daughter without knowing who she was, without expecting recognition or reward." "I saved someone who needed help, Your Majesty. That was all I needed to know. She was injured, traumatized, alone in a failing escape pod in deep space. None of the rest mattered." "Tell me what happened," the Queen said, addressing both of them now. "Everything, please." Kira explained, her memories fully returned now though still painful. 3 years ago, I was on a diplomatic mission to the border territories. The ship was attacked. It was coordinated, professional. Not random raiders, but an assassination attempt targeting me specifically. My guards tried to protect me, got me to an escape pod. I remember the ship tearing apart around us, people dying to buy me time to escape. Then the pod launched and I was alone, watching the ship explode behind me. "We found wreckage," the Queen said, her voice tight. "Debris that confirmed the ship was destroyed. We searched for survivors for weeks but found nothing. I thought you were gone. We held memorial services. I've mourned you for 3 years. The pod was damaged in the launch. Life support was failing. I don't know how long I drifted, days maybe. I remember terror, then resignation, then nothing. I must have lost consciousness when the oxygen started to fail." Kira looked at Marcus. "Then I woke on his ship. He'd found me, brought me aboard, was treating my injuries. He saved my life." "And you didn't remember who you were?" "No, the trauma, watching everyone die, drifting alone thinking I would die. My mind couldn't handle it. I remembered explosions and terror but nothing else. Marcus helped me heal without pressuring me to remember. He just took care of me, treated me with kindness and dignity when I was lost and scared." Marcus added, "I could see she was traumatized. Pushing her to remember would have caused more harm. I just provided stability and safety while her mind healed at its own pace." Queen Lyra looked at Marcus with an expression mixing gratitude and something like awe. "You saved my daughter's life not once but continuously for weeks. Cared for her, helped her heal, protected her psychological recovery. And you did all of this without knowing who she was, without expecting anything in return." "I did it because it was the right thing to do, Your Majesty. I would have done it for anyone in that situation." "That's exactly why it matters," the Queen said quietly. "You helped not because she was a princess, not because you expected reward or recognition, but because she was a person who needed help. That kind of genuine compassion is rare, especially across species lines." Queen Lyra wanted to honor Marcus with titles, land, wealth, formal recognition of the debt she owed him for returning her daughter. Marcus was profoundly uncomfortable with all of it. "Your Majesty, please. I don't want rewards for doing what anyone should do. I'm just glad Kira found her family and can start healing. That's enough." "It's not enough for me," the Queen insisted. You've given me back something I thought lost forever. My daughter, my heir, the most precious thing in my life, that cannot go without recognition. Then recognize it privately, Your Majesty. I don't need public honors or wealth. I have a ship, a job I'm good at, and enough to live on. What I did, finding someone in need and helping them, that shouldn't require extraordinary reward. It should just be what we do for each other. The Queen studied him carefully. You genuinely believe that, don't you? That helping someone should be its own reward, not a transaction requiring payment. Yes, Your Majesty, I do. Your species continues to surprise me. We've had limited contact with humans, mostly commercial and diplomatic interactions. I've formed assumptions based on those interactions that suggested humans were opportunistic, focused on advantage and gain. You've proven those assumptions wrong in the most fundamental way possible. I'm one human, Your Majesty. I can't represent an entire species. But you do represent something important about humanity. You rescued my daughter without knowing who she was, without calculating what you might gain from it, simply because she needed help. That kind of compassion without calculation, that's valuable beyond measure. Kiera, who'd been quiet during this exchange, spoke up. Mother, Marcus refused even basic payment for the disruption to his cargo schedule. He keeps saying he was just doing what was right. I don't think we can convince him to accept grand honors. Then at least accept this, the Queen said to Marcus. The Velrani Empire owes humanity a debt for what you've done. Whatever humanity needs, trade agreements, diplomatic support, technological exchange, we will prioritize those requests. One human's compassion has earned goodwill for your entire species. That seems disproportionate to one rescue, Your Majesty. You don't understand what you've given me. For 3 years, I've carried the grief of losing my daughter. I've ruled while mourning, maintained strength while feeling fundamentally broken inside. You've healed that wound, returned hope I'd lost. That matters more than any diplomatic agreement or trade deal. And it shows the entire Velrani Empire, that humans are capable of profound compassion even towards species they barely know. Later, after the formal discussions concluded and before Marcus prepared to leave, Kiera found him alone. Thank you, she said quietly, for everything. For saving my life, obviously, but more than that, for treating me with dignity when I was lost. For not demanding answers I couldn't give. For just being kind when I needed kindness more than anything else. You don't need to thank me. I'm just glad you're home, that you found your family. I wouldn't have found them without you. I was dying in that pod. Another few hours and life support would have failed completely. You saved me. And then you saved me again by helping me heal. By not pushing me to remember before I was ready. By treating me like a person, rather than like a problem to solve. You were never a problem. You were just someone who needed help. That's what I mean. You didn't see me as burden or obligation. You just helped because that's who you are. That matters more than you know. Marcus smiled slightly. You needed help. I'm glad I could provide it. I hope you heal, really heal from everything you've been through. The physical wounds are closed, but the psychological ones take longer. I know, but I have time now and safety. Thanks to you, I have the chance to heal. You gave me my life back in every sense. Then use it well. You're a princess with responsibilities to your people. Make your second chance count. I will, and I'll make sure people know what one human did when he found someone in need. Your compassion is going to change how my people view humanity.